Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to European Truck Simulator 2, and welcome back to Hirtshals in northern Denmark. We are getting ready to go right around the corner here to, pardon the motion sickness camera. We're going to head right down there toward the port, and I believe it is on our left. We're going to pick up some frozen fish, and we're going to take it to Oslo. That is the plan. Let's see how it all works out. So, lights on, wipers on, hazards off, brake is off, lift axles are up. I think we're good to go. Right on. So we're running Naturalux. I say that every episode, but we are running Naturalux, and we do have the December add-on. So it is going to be, the sun will be coming up momentarily, but it's going to come up slowly. And it's really kind of gray and cloudy and foggy. I've got the rain probability where it was before. You know, it's weird, the difference between ATS and ETS. That ATS takes place in primarily the American Southwest. I mean, other than Oregon and Washington, it's mostly kind of that high desert area. And so we have a lot of rain for Southern California and Arizona and New Mexico. So you turn the rain probability down so that it's accurate in the southern part of the map, and then it's not necessarily accurate in the northern part of the map, particularly Washington. Although I guess you could adjust it every time if you wanted to. Right, let's pick up our cargo. Going here, we're taking pork to Oslo, not fish. Slightly different. And where is that? Looks like it is getting a little hesitation, a little stuttering. I don't know how I feel about that. Right, we'll go third person. Brake is off. Off, I said. Off? Off. Brake is off. Let's get backed in here. We'll get hooked up, and we will be on our way. Man, what is going on? I suspected, I hypothesized that we would see kind of a glut of activity in the video game world right around the end of January, early February. And my goodness, I expected that to happen, but the volume, like how it's happening, it's really cool. I mean, but there's a lot going on. I'll tell you about everything, at least that I know about, that's going on as we get rolling here. But there's a lot of sort of good news if you're into sim gaming. I guess if you're into other kinds of gaming as well. Although primarily, on this channel, we focus mostly on sim gaming. If I could just, yeah, there we go. There we go. Feeling better about that. So we go right in here. No. Don't overcompensate. Don't overcorrect. There you go. Is that one swing? I believe it is. Holy smokes. Mark this date on the calendar. Set the brake. Wipers off. Lights off. Engine is off. Let's get loaded up. It is just going on 7 o'clock, so it'll be 8 o'clock when we get loaded. Hopefully we'll see a nice, beautiful sunrise. Maybe not right away. Right, so we'll hop back in here. Fire up. Lights is on. Like so. Do that, and do that. Here we go. So, starting closest to home, I am starting to see some conversations about 1.37 for ETS, and I imagine for ATS as well. And who knows when that's going to happen. I like that SCS they keep their own schedule when it comes to patching the game. They make the announcement. They get us on the hook, of course. That's good marketing. But then they really take their time, and I hope that is an indication of their commitment to quality. And I think that it is. I think we've come to a nice, we've achieved stasis. We as sim truckers and SCS as a developer, I think we found a nice balance. I think we communicate well. I think SCS knows what we want and respects it, and I think we understand what SCS is capable of and appreciate it. And you put it all together, and it's a good fit. So I don't even want to speculate on when 1.37 will be released, but I'd say probably in the next few months. And we'll see how that goes. We're not running a ton of mods really in either ETS or ATS. And my goal with that was to be able to, hang on now. It is directing us down here. Where are we picking up our cargo? Are we picking it up here at the port, or are we going across to, interesting. Are we going across to Norway and picking up over there? I don't know. I mean, it sent us straight away down here. Oh, no, we just loaded. Oh, I'm telling you, man, there's something wrong with my brain lately. There's something going on with my brain. I couldn't figure out why they were putting us on the boat. We don't even have a cargo yet. Yeah, we do. Ill Will, we just picked it up a minute ago, remember? You backed it in? Oh my goodness. This is unnerving. I'm not kidding. Like, there's something wrong with my brain. Right. Possible travel destinations. I think we got to go to Christensen? Yeah, because where are our other choices? Yeah, further up the coast. So we'll go to Christensen. We will embark. Hopefully, this loads instantly, and we don't have any, we don't need to do any shenanigans with our timing, because I'm recording everything on separate channels. Right, so we go back here. What the hell was I talking about? 1.37. So we're not running too awful many mods on either side, because, I mean, that was the reason I wanted to stay away from pro mods this save game, this series, is so we didn't lose this profile when the next patch came, right? But then it crept up. It crept up like it always does. And so we've got Naturalux running. I imagine, maybe, I don't know. I imagine that we'll need to be mindful of the patch when that drops. This truck that we're in, the Pendragon, that may go away. Our DAF should be okay, because all that's using is really SCS mods. So we'll see. We'll see how it all works out. And then on the ATS side, I can pull out, we've got Jazzy Cat packs running, but I can pull those out. And we're not, we are running the Viper 389. But what I found is you can just not use that truck. As long as you're in a base game truck, when you roll forward to the patch, that truck will stay in your fleet. If you try to drive it, all hell breaks loose, and you can permanently corrupt your save game, and it's gone forever. I mean, you can go to a backup, I guess. But then once the little red exclamation point disappears from next to that truck, then you can get back in it, maybe. I don't know. I think you see what I'm getting at. I'm still embarrassed about forgetting that we loaded up. It's like, you know what it feels like? It's 3 in the afternoon for me right now. It feels like I've been up for like a week. And I haven't been. I've been up since this morning, but that's the state my brain is in. I just feel a little foggy. I just feel a little not crisp for the past at least few months. I don't know. It is making me nervous. I hope there's nothing seriously wrong with me. That would suck. Anyway, okay, so that's ATS. And then, of course, we're waiting for Idaho and Iberia. What else is going on? On the farm sim side, we hop back into FS17. I'm really liking that. Now, I don't know what we're going to do when we start to sort of play out this Western Shore map that we're on. It's a fantastic map. I think we could play it for a very, very long time. But eventually, right, we're going to need to expand our horizons. And are there any other... Whoa, where'd he come from? Are there any other good 17 maps that we haven't played yet? I mean, we could always do Coldborough Park or something. That's an amazing map, right? Selby Farm Estates, it's a great map. So there's options. But I'm curious, and this sort of goes to expectations, and we're going to talk about expectations in a minute. But this sort of goes to expectations. If a video game was released, if there was no farm simulator, if there had never been any kind of farm simulator, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, a game dropped, a sim dropped, and it was called The Western Shore. And it was a farm simulator, and it had one map. The map was the Western Shore. There's no modding, right? think of it like base game. Base game 17 comes with a couple of maps. It comes with Sosnovka and Goldcrest Valley, I want to say. Yeah, it comes with 2 maps. Sosnovka is a retread. We've seen that one before. Goldcrest Valley was new. But regardless, 2 maps, right? Let's say it had 1 map. Just 1 map called the Western Shore. The sim is called the Western Shore. In our hypothetical example, if we had never seen a farm sim before, and speaking strictly for myself, I think I would be absolutely blown away by that. Sir, he did have the right of way there, in fairness. I think I would be blown away by that, and I think I could play that game happily for quite some time. Maybe forever. And yet, because we do know about modding, because we do know of all this other great content that modders have created for us, even though I just started the Western Shore, I've got like 3 episodes done, I've got maybe 4 or 5 hours into the map. Even though we're just starting on it, there's still a part of me that's like, oh, but then what comes next? And it's like, man, what do you think about next for? There is no next right now. You're still in right now. You don't need to like get ahead of yourself. It's never enough. It's never enough. But still, the question remains: when we start to get sort of played out in Western Shore, what are we going to do with 17? Maybe just keep it installed and only ever play Western Shore? I don't know. I think I could start another save game on Coldborough Park. I think that'd be fun. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Then in 19, we've got Charwell going. Now, this is a kind of a strange phenomenon. But as we've gotten more into, or back into 17, it sort of cast 19 in, not the best light. And I said this in a Farm Sim video, each of the titles in their own way has something good going for it. And each of the titles in their own way is better than the other. But neither is the clear winner, So we'll see how it all works out. Man, are you seeing some of this picket fence? I'm curious why this part of the map is looking this way. I don't know if it's because we are now this is the Scandinavia DLC, is it not? And this is pretty old. This is 4 or 5 years old. I don't know. Some parts look okay, but I'm seeing a lot of picket fence and a lot of almost looks like I don't know. I'll take a look on the replay. I'm not super happy with the way the game is rendering at the moment, but what can you do? Right. So that is Farm Sim. In other sims, so Train Sim World, there's a new DLC coming out on the 13th. It is over here. I'm trying to see the mini-map. They're not giving me a ton of information. Auto pass. We are auto passing. Okay, we got through there all right. So there's a new DLC dropping a week from today, and it is the Caltrain's Baby Bullet. Very cool. No price on that yet. But then today I just saw another announcement. Sir, look at this guy. All right. And I thought Scandinavians were polite and super nice. All right, there you go. So then there's going to be another DLC, Canadian Freight DLC, on the 20th. They're releasing DLC a week apart. I don't know, man. I read the discussions. I read the threads, the forums. I am not the only person who thinks that Train Sim World Dovetail is a bit of a cash grab. They are kind of milking their fans. And what's interesting about it is if you just wait a few months, you'll typically find a bunch of DLC bundled into, right? Something that you could buy, I don't know, 6 DLC, 5 DLC bundled into base game for less than the cost of 1 or 2. Well, if you get it on sale, it would be less than the cost of 1 DLC. If you get it when it's not on sale, it would be approximately the price of 2 DLC, but you would get base game plus like 5 DLC, or 5 routes, I guess. They're not really DLC at that point. So people do grumble about that. I grumble about that a little bit because I'm impatient, And also because I'm, trying to grow this channel and I know you like new content, I get these DLC like the second they drop. I get them at 1:01 p.m. Eastern Time. Get them downloaded. But 2 in a week's time, even for me, even for a person as ridiculous as myself, that is really pushing the limits. So we'll see. I'm not sure why they timed it out like that, but they did. So we'll get both of those going. What else is going on? Assetto Corsa Competizione. There was a big update for the game. That's a good thing. That didn't cost anything. And then they released a DLC, which is 4 tracks. It is definitely Suzuka. It is definitely Laguna Seca. It is the South African GP track, which is, and that is a legendary Formula One track. And it is used primarily now for sports car racing, GT racing, and I believe there may be like a Formula 3 race that stops there. Don't quote me on that. But it's not on the F1 calendar anymore. I believe it can't be brought up to FIA, grade A1 standards. It just can't be made safe for contemporary F1 cars. But that is on there. And then what is the 4th one? Is it Bathurst? Is it Mount Panorama? I think so. Don't quote me on that either. Don't ever quote me. Don't ever quote ill will. I know about half of what I'm talking about some of the time, most of the time. But there's 4 tracks, and it also, it adds, I want to say, 30 teams and 50 liveries. So I feel like Assetto Corsa Competizione, even though it is not a direct successor to Assetto Corsa, and there's rumors that there is going to be, we're speeding a little bit here, let's slow it down. There are rumors that there is actually going to be Assetto Corsa 2, and it will be what Assetto Corsa is now, which is, it's primarily Italian cars. If Race Room is mostly German cars, then we know Assetto Corsa is mostly Italian cars. And it's both race cars, there are historical cars in there, there are supercars, hypercars, just regular cars that you would see on the road. That's all in there as well. So Assetto Corsa Competizione is all GT3 cars, all race cars. But regular Assetto Corsa has like more citizen cars. And Assetto Corsa 2 is supposed to go in that same direction. But when it comes to Assetto Corsa Competizione, I'm liking the direction they're taking it in that they're adding so much content that the game is beginning to feel, it's beginning to take on that very sort of comprehensive, like inclusive feeling that Assetto Corsa has. So many cars in there, so many tracks. I feel like it's moving in that same direction. The AI still needs a little bit of work, and I would like to see them sort of tighten up the single player, because that's how I play the game exclusively. I've never gone online. I've never raced another player. That's what iRacing is for, at least in my world. So we'll see how that all goes. But I'm looking forward to that, and I will have a video of that for you, possibly on Sunday. I need to get some, every sim is different, and I definitely need to get plenty of practice laps in on, particularly in South Africa. I've never driven a lap on that track, ever. And, once again, speeding. Mount Panorama, not my favorite track. I wouldn't say that I hate that track. I try not to hate anything. It's not good for you. But I definitely don't like it. Not a bit. Suzuka, I'm pretty good. And Laguna Seca, I love. I've got, probably thousands of sim laps on Laguna Seca in various sims and games. Love that track. Right, so that is going on there. Race Room, I believe, had a small update. R Factor 2 had a pretty big update. And there are also, I believe, some big changes coming for R Factor 2 in the future, the not too distant future. I'd say the next few months. So looking forward to that as well. We'll see what that brings. That's a great game. It's different. It's not the most polished game in terms of the UA. The UI. What the hell is a UA? See, this is what I'm talking about. I feel like my brain is not working properly. Oh, man. Oh. The UI. the menus are not, they're not great. They're not intuitive. They're not very pretty. And I mean, they say it's the open source racing sim. And open source is always, maybe not always, often. Maybe that's a better word for it. Open source is often a bit chaotic. You got a lot of cooks stirring the soup when you go open source. So, but I mean, it's a great sim. Physics are great. It does have day to night, which is, sir, why? All right. I am told that at some point this game, the AI will be mindful of turn signals and beacon lights. I don't know. Is that ever going to happen? I don't know. Is it in the game now? I don't think it's in the game now, but I would be curious if that were added. I don't want to pile on to developers. When we step back from these games and look at them from a certain perspective, it's like a miracle that they work at all. And when I say that, I don't mean like the developers give us, something that we're lucky if it works. I don't mean it like that. I mean, it's amazing to me that developers can build these games and make them work the way they do. And so, they're sort of pushing the boundaries themselves, and then they deliver that product to us, and it's like, wow, man, how did you do that? We can be disappointed if we want to, but we can also be really impressed and happy and just enjoy these games that we get to play and not be too super critical. I mentioned that earlier, expectations, I got Monster Energy Supercross 3. I can't seem to find the right gear here. We need like gear 8.5. 8's too low, 9 is too high. There we go. I got Monster Energy Supercross 3. It's exactly like Monster Energy Supercross 2. It really is. The more I played the two of them back to back, I think, wow. I could have taken $50, put it in a pile and burned it, and I would have had exactly the same thing when I was done. I would have had one motorcycle sim. It's got, it represents the 2020 calendar, I guess, and there's some changes in the compound. They've changed the way that you train and level up your rider a little bit. I personally don't like that in any sim. I don't like that. I don't like that you get stronger as a rider based on, little tricks that you do, little, jump through a hoop, and now your ability to jump through hoops plus 10%. I don't like that. I think the system is already, we as human beings, the system is already well in place and functions perfectly well. The more you do something, the better you get at it. So, you know what I mean? If you want to win more Supercross races, just play the damn sim. The more time you spend in it, the better you'll get, and the better you'll be able to jump through hoops without that plus 10% buff. You'll just be better at jumping through hoops because you jump through a ton of them. So, there's been some incremental changes like that. But bottom line, if the title graphics weren't different, and I fired that game up, I would think I'm playing Monster Energy Supercross 2. And that's, I don't want to say that's like a big fail for a developer. And I know that franchise sims it's a different kind of animal. I talked about this in the video. It is a different kind of animal because it's still the same. Supercross last year and Supercross this year are the same in real life. There may be some minor changes or some new technologies that the various motorcycle manufacturers bring to bear. The calendar may be different, maybe different riders and different names, but the overall, you know what I mean? It's the same. It's the same as F1. It's the same as Blancpain. It's the same as Rally. It's the same. So how do you get people to buy a new game? Well, you can completely rebuild the game every year. The problem with that is it's going to cost you, between $10 and $30 million to do that. And then you've got to sell a whole hell of a lot of games to pay for that, to make your money back, to be profitable. Or you can basically build a DLC, include it in base game, right? Because the engine and everything else is still the same as last year. All the assets are the same, all the models are the same, all the tracks are the same. You basically build a DLC, you lay it over top of the base game, you bundle the two together, and you sell it for $50. Call it a new game. Well, it's not a new game. But could not the same thing be said about Dirt Rally 2.0? I mean, there's some I guess more significant changes there. All right. What about the F1 franchise? Codemasters, one of my favorites. Yeah, you could probably say the same thing about that. They added a reporter. She asks you little questions. That determines your reputation. I hate that crap. I really do. Just let me drive the car. Let my reputation be determined by how many races I win and nothing else. You gotta guess the right answer. Come on. I don't particularly care for that. But F1 2019 is almost identical to F1 2018. There are slight improvements to the physics. The tire models is tuned up, but it's only going to be every 3 or 4 or 5 years that a franchise like that really, that they do go to a new engine, that they do go out and re-laser scan all the tracks or whatever. And we as gamers, I think we sort of understand that can't happen, and it's not going to happen. It's okay that it doesn't happen. It's not a big deal. But I feel like we want to know that we're involved in that process. We want to know. I wouldn't say we want to know that we're not being taken advantage of. That probably overstates it. But we want to know that the developer knows that we know what the developer's doing, and what they're doing is they're making money. So something like Supercross. I suspect a lot of people that buy that game on day one are really, really big Supercross fans. And they may or may not be sim motorcycle fans. They may be more fans of Supercross than of sim gaming. And so they don't really care that the physics are kind of effed up in, what did we hit? All right, we didn't take any damage. What did we hit? All right. Got my eye on you. And I think the reason is, the same thing is true in MXGP, in the MXGP franchise, also by Milestone. I don't see those same problems in the MotoGP franchise by Milestone. But a road bike is, what it's doing is so much different than a dirt bike. You're not dealing with things like ruts. You're not dealing with things like a deteriorating track, or at least not as radically, right? I know a MotoGP track does change during the course of a race, but it doesn't change as radically as a Supercross track or an MXGP track, gets all rutted and torn up. So it's a big ask, to replicate dirt bike physics. And I have to say, it's a fun game to play. That's the best thing that I can say about it. Both the MXGP franchise and the Supercross franchise, we're going kind of fast. They are fun to play. They really are. But they're not the most realistic when it comes to physics. Well, somebody who's really into that type of motorcycle racing, but not particularly into gaming, I don't think they care. They really don't. And so if that's who Milestone is selling to, I feel like we're being a little bit aggressive right now. Not intentionally, but you know what I mean? I feel like we're kind of tearing it up here. All right, that's good there. Good over here. Beautiful. Right through there. Right through there. There we go. So, I talk a lot about the intersectionality of video games and movies, right? Hollywood movies. And how each of them seems to be sort of borrowing from the other at this point, sort of learning from the other at this point. And people that make Hollywood movies know that the bulk of your money, the bulk of your ticket sales, needs to occur in the first 2 weekends, because that's when word of mouth gets out. And it doesn't matter how good your commercials are. And it doesn't matter how good your marketing campaign is. What people tell their friends about a movie is the biggest determination of whether or not somebody's going to go see a movie. Hey, did you see that? Yes. How was it? I didn't care for it. I don't think you will either. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll save my $20. And I realize that model is changing and evolving a bit with Netflix. Where's our turn? It's got to be right here. It's got to be right here. But then where do we go? I'm going to turn left, I promise. Go right in here. I feel like, is this laid out the same as Walgreens? Oh dear. I can't. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh dear. This is the same chicanery as the Walgreens drop off in ATS. So we need to come in here. Now there's no cars in this parking lot. That's going to make it a lot easier. A lot easier. Right. I didn't forget what I was talking about. Netflix is changing that model. Because you get, there's movies that are going straight to Netflix now. They're being made by Netflix for Netflix, and it's not that same, if my girl and I want to go see a movie between 2 tickets, oh man, if we go to like the IMAX or something, between 2 tickets, parking and snacks, you're talking about 70, 80, $100 to go see a movie versus Netflix, which is, whatever, $15 a month. If you see a movie and it's not so great, it doesn't sting quite as bad. So that model is evolving, but Hollywood changes slowly, and they are still approaching it from we've got to make the bulk of our money from this movie in the first 2 weeks. I think video game developers are leaning into that model as well. And I feel like Milestone is looking at this franchise as, in the first couple weeks of release, we want to sell a shit ton of copies of this Supercross game to people that are really into Supercross and don't really care that the physics are goofy. And if it doesn't have legs, if people don't play it long term, who cares? Because we got our money back. And really all we did was polish up Monster Energy Supercross 2 and put some new menus on it. Right. End of rant. Lights are off. Brake is set. Brake is set. Brake is set. Pivot back out here. Engine is off. Time, 32 minutes. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's see how we did. We are on time. I don't think we're going to level up, although maybe. No, we got a ways to go. Right. There you have it. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of European Truck Simulator 2. We'll see you next time. Take care now.